Welcome, my dear, dear friends. We are Semain. We send you the light of Sirius, that star system holding aspects of God consciousness for your planet, your solar system, and your species. May you fill up with this light so that you can radiate it outward and to all who may receive it. Good. Now, we hope to find your energy in a good place and that you are doing well at the time that you are listening to this recording. We know that things have continued to be a bit chaotic, but we note that many of you, from an energetic standpoint, are able to find those moments of calm, quiet, and equilibrium. And because of this, your light is shining so bright as you are able to bring through that higher vibrational light of spirit and love. And you are able to transmit it to the planet and all who reside upon it. Truly, this is light work. It is at the bases of light work. And you are all doing quite well right now. And so we just bring this up to let you know that you are able to access those higher energies. You are able to quiet your mind, your emotions. You are able to go into those spaces of self-healing and love and bring them through and share them energetically speaking with others. So we wanted to just let you know how well you were doing. One of the things that we wanted to discuss and have been wanting to discuss for some time is actually time, particularly timelines. It is something that is not always well understood. And for many, it is not even a concept that they are aware of. But because of your sensory apparatus, as well as your civilization and how your society teaches you to take those sensory apparati and focus them in a certain way, you have an idea of time occurring in a one-way, linear fashion, meaning the past becomes the present, which moves into the future. And so you look at time in that way. It has been conceptualized from a young age. You have clocks where you keep time, or watches. You have schedules. You have a calendar. You have broken down time into various elements that you are, well, made to follow. And so if you are not on time for your meeting or for your job, there could be consequences. So this is how you are made to follow a certain concept of time. You are socialized to do so. Now, every culture on the planet does not have such a strict view of time. And there are cultures such as those in the continent of Africa, where time is a bit more fluid. And so, for instance, if there is to be a gathering at a particular place, even if a time is set, the gathering commences once enough people have basically appeared. And so they are not adhering to a specific time, but more to a group sense of when it is appropriate to begin. However, in Western cultures, time has become more crystallized in terms of its concept. So what we say is that time is much more fluid. What you are actually experiencing is the ever-present moment, moving from moment to moment to moment. However, the past is not fixed, and neither is the future. And if you were to move through a journey of time and go deeply enough into it, you would see that the past is still occurring. It has its own present. It is only from a different vantage point that you are viewing it. And the same is with the future. And so the creators of the universe have worked with the element of time and interwoven it into the fabric of this third-dimensional reality. But what they did was much more fluid than the concepts that your civilization has placed upon time. And so what you don't understand is that there are several different streams of time called timelines. So what that means is that you are experiencing one set of timeline or a timeline where there is a past, a present, and a future that you seem to be moving into. But parallel to that timeline is an alternate timeline where they have their own past, present, and future. And sometimes these timelines, depending upon how closely they resonate with each other, have what we call cross currents, where certain events from one timeline jump on into another, or you could say are copied onto another. And so something that may actually not have occurred in your timeline becomes a part of it. And it begins to move outward in the past as well as into your future, populating it. And it happens basically underneath the awareness of most of humanity. There are beings on your planet, animals, for instance, who are more aware of these separate timelines. But because, again, of the way that you have taken and focused your sensory apparatus, or apparati, as it were, you have lost the ability to recognize this difference in timelines. And so you basically accept the presence of what is essentially new information in your timeline as always having been a part of it. Now, there are those who do have an awareness and are aware at times that something has changed, as it were, that a new set of information or events have been inserted into your timeline. In fact, we would use the film The Matrix as an example of this, where those who control the Matrix can stop it and insert new data, as it were. And that was in the first movie, of course, where it was remarked that déjà vu means that a change or a shift has been made in the matrix. Well, in the matrix of your timeline, it is similar. Déjà vu may or may not play into it, but there are those who are aware when new information has come through that was not present previously. And so they still have this nascent awareness. We would say that several, if not many, light workers have this awareness of timelines, and when certain events jump from one timeline into the present one that you're experiencing. So, why are we discussing timelines? Well, my friends, we had mentioned earlier that sometimes these events jump between timelines. What occurs at times are that two very similar timelines will merge. We'll call it timeline A and timeline B. So let us say that you are on timeline B. At some point, or several points, timeline A and B will merge. And so for a short period, you are on a different path with the timeline, because you are now incorporating the aspects of timeline A, because they are operating as the same timeline. But because their resonance is not at 100%, eventually the timelines will split. Now, sometimes in these splits, some of the information splits away. So there may be things that were experienced in the combined timeline that disappear, as it were. We know that this is a bit densely esoteric, but what we are trying to explain to you is that you are at the cusp of a major timeline shift, where another timeline that you often have merged with is about to merge with your timeline again. And because of this, there is going to be a sudden and new influx of information, both what you would call physically based information, as well as psychic information. And because of this, it is going to cause a temporary, what we would call psychic overload, particularly in sensitives. And so it is very important when this is occurring, that you take the time to ground yourselves. It is extremely important because of the great influx of information. It can easily overload all of your psychic circuits, as it were, and make it even difficult at times to quiet your mind enough to be able to meditate and to access those higher energies and higher spaces that are key to what your light work is about. And so, again, being able to ground yourselves is extremely important. And we may talk about this very soon in terms of certain techniques. We have already discussed certain things such as laying on the ground and imagining your ground, or consciousness rather, going into the ground and melding with the earth, or sitting in nature with your back supported by a tree, and allowing your consciousness to meld with the ground around you as well as the tree behind you. And imagining that you are the tree and that the roots that you have go deep into the earth. That is another way to ground. And of course, if you study yoga or any type of martial art, then you already have several techniques that you can use to ground yourselves. But yes, this is going to be extremely important. We say that the timeline merge will last about 7 months, but the effects will be felt for as long as 7 years. And by the end of December is when the timeline merge will be more or less complete. It will be a process, a gradual process that is actually already begun. But by December, it should be complete. And then by sometime next summer in 2021, it should begin to, or it should already have shifted and the two timelines will separate. But they will be resonating very closely, and as we said, that will be in effect for up to 7 years. So, my friends, we hope that you are able to take in this information and understand that this is a very important shift. And we may go into the reasons why this shift is important at another time. But it is one that is imminent. And so we wanted you to be prepared. And so we leave you with these words and our love and light and that Sirian God consciousness. May you fill up with this light so that you can radiate it outward unto all who may receive it. Good day for now, my loving friends.